The sphere of coronavirus looms large over the country. 43 people have returned to Chitradurga from foreign nations. The district administration is keeping an eye on these patients who are currently home quarantined. Blood samples of 16 patients have already been collected, out of which 6 people have tested negative. Reports of 10 more people are awaited. My colleague Amrita joins us over the phone line with more inputs on it. Well, Amrita, the numbers seem to be increasing quite rapidly. The epicenter is China, but of course the disease has spread globally. Government so far has been advising people to avoid unnecessary travel. Do they seem to be following the guidelines?
Absolutely, Neha. Right now we have a latest development that from Chitradurga, 43 people who had Indian nationals who had returned from foreign nations have been now put in home isolation. I think that the Karnataka government as well as the Indian government is now ramping up its steps against containing COVID-19 spread. So before initially when we saw when the initial reports had coming in that one person or the second person was testing positive for COVID-19, then the Indian government wasn't as taking precautionary measures as it is now. Earlier we also saw several reports that a person who got away with testing got away with lower temperature was let into the city. The very first, if we go back, the very first positive COVID-19 case from Bengaluru, that particular person who had returned from the United States hadn't showed any sort of aggravated temperature, which made him suspect of a COVID-19 case. So he was initially let off into the city, and he came into contact with several of his colleagues, his family members. He wasn't in home quarantine. But then later on, he started showing symptoms, and then he tested positive for COVID-19. So these are some of the mistakes initially that the state government, the Indian government, made initially when it was when COVID-19 started showing its signs here in India. So here it seems like the district administration has become more aware about how it actually proceeds, how the COVID-19 spreads. So over here, 43 people who were let off the airport, the people over here have not shown any sort of temperature, high rise in temperature, or any sort of symptoms so far, and that is exactly why they were let off from the airport and then were allowed to go into the state. So over here, the district administration has taken a step ahead. They have, asked these 43 people to home isolate themselves, and they are not letting any stone unturned to make sure that all of these people are clearly uninfected. So over here, so far, the blood samples of 16 patients have already been collected, out of which 6 have tested negative. The reports of 10 more people are awaited. So this makes sure that even though these people might not have showed any rise in temperature initially when they were tested with a infrared thermometer at the airport, there are chances that these people might start showing symptoms quite later in the week or so, after a few days, which might be riskier. So that being said, over here the Chitradurga district administration is definitely taking precautions to make sure that all of these 43 people are home quarantined for the 14 days, so that there is absolutely no chance of spreading COVID-19, even if one of these persons later starts showing symptoms. So as of now, 16 patients blood samples have been collected, and 6 have already turned negative. But the other people are also to be tested. It is possible that the administration has taken the 16 patients' blood samples first of all, because they might fall into the category B, which is the people, usually senior citizens or people with comorbidities like hypertension, high blood pressure, or diabetes. So these are some of the people who are being now prioritized by the health department for their test results to be taken first, because they are more likely to contract COVID-19 and they have less immunity levels as well. So this is a positive side of the health department. It shows that the health department is taking the case seriously, and also that it is ramping up the steps to contain COVID-19. If we saw initially, compared it to initial stages when it had more or less ignored how it is transmitted, to now It seems like the state government knows more about what to expect, and that's why all of these 43 people who have not shown any sort of symptoms so far have also been home quarantined to make sure that even in the coming days, even if they show any sort of symptoms, that they are, very well contained, that it is not spread anywhere else. So this is a quite welcoming sign that, the state government is taking all of these into consideration, and it is not repeating the mistakes that it did before. That being said, India has been now long criticized for the number of tests being carried out for COVID-19, which has become a bone of contention, and also the number of testing labs available all over Karnataka as well. So that has become a problematic issue as well. But over here, it is clearly being seen that the district administration is making sure that whoever is coming from foreign nations are being home quarantined at least for 14 days to eliminate any chances of spread of COVID-19, Neha.
Thank you very much, Amrita, for joining us with all of those inputs.